You know, there's an interesting crossroads that happens when a depressed teenager on the internet comes across one of those deep-fried Aaron Yeager Sigmar memes, where there's a quote about nihilism and how hard it goes.
Let go. Let go of everything.
This young adolescent is moved by this ideology because of his insecurities in his own life. So much so that he does a quick Google search and learns about a German philosopher named Friedrich Nietzsche.
Friedrich Nietzsche.
And bases his entire personality around him. But instead of writing thousands of pages of dissertations about this feeling of emptiness that this young teenager feels in his soul, as well as the impending doom that society is coming towards, instead he posts lone wolf gym TikToks on his Instagram story, scaring the hoes. I tell him through the glass window, no, you're scaring the hoes, you're scaring them. But he does not listen. But brother, I need you to understand this. You're a loser. Please, if you want your dingling played with, do not repost those TikToks. Please. But I get it. I understand why you feel the way you feel. The feeling that you're puny to the determinist forces of history. The instinct of surrendering yourself to fate. A vague sense that nothing really matters. Everything is for this concept of survival, but what are we surviving for?
Nothing.
I get it, brother. God might not seem real. The Bible didn't mention any dinosaurs. How could there be a God? The light at the end of the tunnel does not exist. You're just a cog in a species that's only goal is to survive. But for what?
Nothing.
You feel like you understand how the world works. You know how people work. You know how society works. You see all these people climbing up the social ladder. For what? These people are fucking losers. They don't realize that nothing they do matters. You feel like you unlocked the third eye. But then that one girl walks by you at school. She has a really fat ass. She's cute face. You don't talk to her because you're a bitch. I remember I was talking to my teacher about nihilism when I first discovered it at like 15. You know what she did? She started fucking laughing in my face, like she was trying not to laugh, but what I said was so cringe that like she couldn't hold it back. You know, I died of cringe. That's when everything clicked for me. That's when I understood that this is a fucking bogus religion. All the kids that I used to hang out with then were like depressed, emo kids. I realized, you know, after my conversation with the teacher that, you know, the only reason I hung out with them was because I wanted attention, not because I was actually depressed like these kids were. I think half of them killed themselves before we graduated. My personality was wrapped around like 10 layers of irony. Everything was a joke of a joke of a joke, because being normal is fake and gay. I went through that phase. I'm not ashamed to admit it. But I guarantee that if you threatened to put a bullet in my head during that phase of my life, I would have cried and given you a blowjob if you asked for it, just to make sure that I made it out alive. Things change. I believe in things now. I would not give you that blowjob anymore. Ironic, isn't it? I truly believed that nothing in the world mattered.
Nobody gets it. Nothing you think matters.
And even when that girl that I really liked came walking past by with her big ass, right, clapping, I was hyperventilating. So I don't understand how the fuck that works. I want to talk about the negative connotation of nihilism because I think that's really interesting. Why is it being used in an inherently negative context? And for us to understand that, we must look at how nihilism formed in the first place. And that is Russian nihilism. An idea like nihilism could never form in the humid beaches of Southern California with snow bunnies and their tits out, or the humid rainforests of Brazil with BBLs and Neymar woman, Você é muito linda. Only in the brutalist winter of Siberia, where power doesn't stay centralized for that long, does a concept like nihilism start to form. Russian nihilism saw all the morality, philosophy, religion, aesthetics, and social institutions which were in place at the time as worthless and meaningless. And that's because Russia fucking sucked dick prior to the revolution. While the rest of Europe was quickly industrializing and gaining a better quality of life, Russia was still stuck in feudalism, and everyone was poor, and the weather fucking sucked dick, and nobody could climb up the social ladder unless they knew someone from the inside. All the Russian writers during the 50 or so years before the Russian Revolution was all tackling very similar ideas about the hopelessness of the world around them. Now, these authors were not nihilists per se, as Dostoevsky himself was Christian, but you can only be Christian for so long before the shitty weather gets to you. Jesus grew up in Jerusalem. The weather is humid then, right? The reason he's such a nice guy and died for everyone's sins is because the ladies in Jerusalem had their tits out in the humid weather. If you grew up in Russia, it would be a completely different story, I'm telling you. From the shitty Siberian weather that sucks dick, and the growing distaste of the Russian peasants in a landscape so vast and so detached from the rest of the world, is where the foundation for a concept like nihilism began to form. But the term would actually start being coined when Nietzsche came into play. Most of you started hearing about nihilism from the one and only Friedrich Nietzsche. Now, the vague concept of nihilism has always existed, right? You fumble up bad bitch so hard that it makes you question if life is pointless, right? That's probably happened to every guy throughout history. But it was Nietzsche that coined nihilism in the way that it's used by depressed Bart Simpson edit-obsessed teenagers today. Because he recognized nihilism as a cultural phenomenon rather than me being sad because I lost a bad bitch with a big ass. Arising from the decline of traditional values and metaphysical beliefs that ruled the West to success, particularly in the wake of Enlightenment and the Industrial Revolution, where we started understanding so many things about the world, and we slowly start to push away from nature. As all these scientific discoveries and progress started to slowly kill the whimsy and mystery of the world, Nietzsche declared that God is dead. More and more people don't believe it anymore and the structure he provides. Within the modern world, people are slowly losing their grasp for these traditions. Women are not having 10 children before 25 years old anymore. Husbands are complaining about 50-50 splits on dates. The economy is cooked. Everything is more expensive now. How could there be a God when boba prices are $9? Are you kidding me? God is Asian and Jewish? That doesn't make any sense. The people are struggling. The family structure in major cities are cooked. They're teaching babies how to suck in public schools.
What the hell have we become?
Right? Nietzsche criticized this passive acceptance of nihilism, and for good reason. Most people cannot live without a purpose. If boba prices are $9, how could a nuclear family exist? That's $40 for an ice cream outing. Are you fucking insane? How could there be a God if I can watch big black Latinas bouncing on my cock on my iPhone screen, or better yet, 3D glasses that make me see that shit in HD? That's not Christ-like, bro. I can literally... You think Jesus prophesies BBC Latinas bouncing on your cock while you wear those fucking VR headsets? Hell no. What we notice in modern society is an iteration of what Nietzsche called the last man, the final phase of nihilism. Any type of responsibility or exertion towards creating something meaningful and beautiful is gone. The meaning of the people are found in simple hedonism like BBC Latinas bouncing on your cock on VR. Infantilization like all the Korean, Japanese, Asian propaganda that makes those countries look good even though they're war criminals. I'm just kidding, guys. I love you Koreans. And they're teaching babies how to suck in public school.
I apologize. We have a family audience. That was wrong and I won't do it again.
Brother, what are we doing? God is dead. God would never teach kids how to suck. When I was so utterly convinced by the cosmos that nothing matters and everything is fake and gay, right? For a moment, I honestly did feel a sense of peace and solace from it all, right? I was on the phone, I felt like, damn, the world, I understand it. But then it got boring, like really boring, because I started sleeping at 5 a.m. because who gives a fuck shit about anything? I woke up at 3 because who gives a fuck shit about anything? I kicked my feet up, watch me a comedy, take a shit, roll some weed up, because who gives a fuck, man? Nothing matters. Like, blow some steam off, right? Even though you didn't fucking do anything all day, you're a fucking bum. Blow some steam off, download Tinder, hit a bitch up. Maybe you'll get your nuts strained. And that's exactly what I did. I matched with this chick, some white bitch on Tinder. She looked alright on the Tinder page. She was DTF. 3 a.m. I went and picked her up. She didn't look like anything in the pictures. Hell no, she was fat. 300 pounds over. Bro, I got catfished. She was fat, like, she was so fat that even though she was like 5'7", like when she was sitting in the car with me, she was the same height as me because of how fucking fat her thighs were. So like the thighs stacked and gave her the extra boost to level with me, right? You understand what I'm saying? Like, she was
too fat. Right,
me and the homies, if we saw her around, like, in public, we would have made fun of her, God bless. I only did that because of peer pressure. I don't actually make fun of people, but we would have made fun of her. But my homie wasn't there. My ding-a-ling was, and my ding-a-ling wanted to get sucked. So I had to please my ding-a-ling. That's my best friend. That's what makes me a man, so I did that shit. Because nihilism, shaped in the form of my penis, was telling me Who gives a fuck? Get some top. I went to try to get my wiener up because she was waiting. She clearly knew that she catfished me, but she tried to play it off. And I sat there, trying to get my wiener up. And she started laughing all weird because she knew she wasn't what I was expecting. And I sat there trying to get my wiener up. And she started getting nervous and said, I said, take it easy, baby. Who gives a fucking shit about anything? After 5 minutes of trying to get my wiener up, she started crying. And at that moment, I thought to myself, there must be a God. There must be a God. For real, there must be a God. Because why? Like, God is preventing me from going down this dark path by giving me erectile dysfunction. There must be a God.
There is a God.
That's when I learned that nihilism was my false friend. He was the devil on my right shoulder or left shoulder. I don't know which shoulder. If you succumb to the idea that life has no meaning, if you let it consume you in a negative context, then you have actively rejected the very possibility of overcoming whatever problem you have.
God doesn't ask for perfection. He asks for faithfulness. He sees your heart. He knows your struggles. And every time you show up, especially when you don't feel like it, you're showing God that you trust Him.
Thank you to the fat girl that made me realize this. Thank you to God for possessing my cock.
There is a God.
So that I will not get hard and get top from this fat girl. Thank you. There must be a God. There must be a God. There must be a God.
There is a God.
There are people that are able to use the fact that, nothing really matters as a positive affirmation to let go. But the honestly overwhelming culture behind nihilism, whether it's Instagram memes, green text, 4chan posts, or like based IG reels, it's all undeniably negative. None of these people are enlightened. They're not Buddha. Do not let them trick you, brothers. To combat this poison, Nietzsche proposed the idea of the Übermensch, a strong Superman that creates its own values and meaning in this godless world.
Maybe being great involves some qualities that are a bit disturbing.
In order to impose their will to power. Rather than viewing the will to power as a thing that is good or bad for the world, Nietzsche viewed it as a force that cannot be stopped, underlying not just individual actions but also cultural and historical movements, where the strong would impose their will upon the weak or the blind. People that have great will but are also terrible people have done damage to the weak many times. Just look at all the dictators in history. That's why we're very lucky that Jesus was a good guy. Shout out to Jesus. Any act of grand change in the world, according to Nietzsche, was an act by a man of a strong will to exert his will onto other people who, for better or worse, blindly follow them because they themselves do not have the will to find their own answers. This is why religion will never truly die. It might not be as strong as it once was, but the will of its prophets will always have followers. Mormons are the happiest people in the world that you will ever meet. They will not have a single problem. They're all white, but they're all happy because, they follow the will of Joseph Smith.
Oh, the Mormons.
But for those who cannot become Mormons, is becoming an Übermensch really the answer? Should we really pity people that believe in God as mindless slaves? Should we pity, said Mormons because they hate black people when sooner or later they're the only ones that will be marrying at an appropriate age? They're the only ones that will be having 10 children to actually progress the human population forward, and they're the only ones that will be having friends. Yeah, they might not think the world is fake and gay, even though it really is, like you and Nietzsche and I do. But this modern world, right? Not the Mormons, they tell their own lies. Us, we also tell ourselves the most wicked lies. Nietzsche tells us that we must be liberated from all these old prejudices and customs and superstitions now that we're freed from the shackles of these fucking hooligan wretched religious cults that are poisoning our brain. Yet that's not what's happening, right? Most of us are down bad. Tinder, BBCs, right? Like Latinas with the VR headsets, the fat girls that bump up your car seat, that weigh down your car, and you gotta waste more gas. Like anxiety, depression, suicide, loneliness, these are all things creeping up slowly. We don't marry, we don't have children, we don't have friends, right? We as people, as Übermensch, we're failing to, be homies with this other guy because we have too much pride, because we're trying to force our will onto others. Everybody talks, nobody listens. Why can't we all just pretend to be white like the Mormons are? Look how happy they are. They're not thinking about, I must exert my will onto others, conquerors hockey on this bitch, gotta make everyone foam in the mouth. Like, it's all, what is the answer? I don't know. Is it human nature? I don't know. I'll look for the answer later. But the Mormons, there they go. Oh look, that's a happy family. Maybe I should become a Mormon. Maybe I need 2 children, 10 daughters. Maybe that's what I need. Please do not kill the family structure. Family is everything. Type shit, type shit, type shit. Don't you want your kids to look like you, right? You look at your kids, you're proud of them because they're you, but they're gonna be you in the future, right? Dealing with their own future problems, like AI sex robots or some shit. I don't know. They'll look at a picture of you who will be the great grandfather or some shit, and they'll look at him and say, "Oh my God, he looks just like me," right? Like that's dope. That's hard. Korea has a 0.5 birth rate. How insane is that? Japan has 0.9. Bro, every one of you, turn Mormon, get skin whitening surgery, go to Korea. They'll love you. For real. Have some children with them. For real. It doesn't matter if, some of you are like brown or black and you did white surgery, the kid comes out Blasian. Don't matter. Just do it. Thank you to the fat girl that made me realize this. Thank you. I love you all. Lord, please save me. Life is good, man. Life is a traffic jam, right? Sometimes you're stuck in certain areas and shit. Everyone's honking. Move forward. But like, it's still balling and shit. Cause I'm playing Oasis. I'm playing like Stand By Me. Stand by me, nobody knows the way it's gonna be. Stand by me, nobody knows the way it's gonna be. The traffic is not moving, but the guy beside me, he rolls down his window, he says, "Hey yo, nice song," and he starts singing that shit, and then look, we're in a traffic jam, we're all just jamming to Stand By Me by Oasis. Like, stand by me, nobody knows the way it's gonna be. Like, that's life. I'm in a traffic jam and everyone's bumping the same song as me and we're all like having a good time. You saying that doesn't matter, Nietzsche? Why can't I just sing that, and everyone else sings with me? Shit, they don't have to. They can sing their own shit. They can see that Central C, like, said my bitch was gay, got 1 billion streams. I'm a mainstream rapper. Shot coke, so how's my brody a mainstream trapper? I'm somehow still not used to the lifestyle, but slowly adapting. But you know what I'm saying? Like, is that meaningless? Is that meaningless to you, Nietzsche? For real. Praise the Lord. Or no Lord. I don't really know what to believe. Shout out to everyone. Thank you. Any act of you're a bitch. Clap. Make it clap. Make it clap. I'm sorry. The final society of fucking... Am I retarded? But then that one girl you like walks by you at school. You don't really know what to say. But then that one girl walks by you.